Welcome to the Energy Pulse podcast, where Africa's energy future takes center stage and the conversation shaping power, progress, and sustainability comes alive. Today, we are asking an important question. What does green energy transition really mean? And how is KenGen driving that transition in Kenya and across the region? Before we dive in, just a quick note that the views shared on this show are those of the hosts and guests and do not necessarily reflect the official position of KenGen. Some discussions may include forward-looking statements, and everything you hear is shared on general information and discussions only.
KenGen is no longer just a power developer and an operator. Kenya stumbled on geothermal development as a result of a crisis.
Welcome to this edition of the Energy Pulse podcast. My name is Frank David Ochieng, and I work for KenGen, and I'm here with my colleague.
And my name is Judith Mbogo. I also work for KenGen.
All right. Today we are here to discuss a very important topic. We've been hearing about energy transition, but what does it really mean? That is the question we're going to ask today. And Judith and I are going to take us through this question. We're having a very exciting guest with us here today. Judy, how does it feel working for KenGen?
Working for KenGen is really fulfilling because you just work for something that is greater. Because, KenGen is very impactful. It's key on sustainability aspects, on innovation, among others. So for me, it's fulfilling because I know what I do impacts not just, the smaller group, but the nation at large.
And of course, that's going to be the main message for today. We're going to discuss about sustainability with a focus on energy transition. Joining us today to discuss this important topic is none other than the GM at KenGen in charge of commercial services.
My name is Ronoh Kibet. Professionally, I'm trained as an engineer, but I also have a very sweet spot for ICT and technology. But as a builder, I like to build solutions that are able to last and see us transform our country. Part of these solutions, the biggest problem we have as a country is the cost of power and the mode of this generation. So I am so passionate about how we can be able to industrialize our country, meaning we create more jobs, we create more wealth for ourselves, while preserving this planet and handing back a planet to our children that is better than what we found.
So beside what you do at work, who is Kibet?
I'm a golfer. I can't say I'm hitting it well now, but once we get over this tragedy of time, then we'll be able to play better golf. But I'm also an F1 enthusiast. And it's amazing to just watch how engineering has shifted driving competition, and it's promoting innovation to be able to break the ceiling, push the envelope, and give the world more. So what inspires me is the engineering and the thought behind Formula One. Of course, with golf, it's all about being steady, all about calculations, all about sinking the eagles and the birdies, which are basic principles that apply in life.
So how long have you been at KenGen?
I have been at KenGen for over 15 years, 16 years, if I quit it. Yes, yeah.
That was the experience being.
It's been exciting, but the interesting thing about working for KenGen is it gets more exciting as you even age, So it's never a flat line. You're always getting yourself involved in tremendous projects, things that need a lot of thinking, piecing together, and KenGen provides that environment for you to be able to piece up that solution and come up with novel ideas that transition into legacy projects that you're proud of to look at here.
Now, let's dive into our topic for the day. These big words you hear about green energy transition. When you hear about that, what people really mean about it? And what are some of the misconceptions around this topic?
Okay. So first, allow me to define what green energy is. Okay. So there are two different modes of power generation. You can generate your power while polluting the planet, and you can generate your power while preserving it. So green power is what is produced while preserving it. Okay. Preserving it in the sense that you're not consuming the resource, or you're replenishing the resource. So you're not consuming it and finishing it and depleting it. So that's what really defines that. Now, the myth about green energy is people believe that industrialization can only be done through coal generation and fossil fuel generation, HFO generation, because of the advances and what other developed countries did. But as a developing country, Kenya is trying to demonstrate that you can actually achieve green industrialization through 100% green power. The misconception has always been it's expensive. And for a minute, they were right. But when you look at how technology has shifted and how the world has shifted towards enabling renewable energy technology, it's now competing. For a fact, hydro generation is the lowest. Okay? But sadly, because of weather vagaries, you need to find a backup source. And when you levelize and combine that and levelize, you find that the cost of electricity becomes slightly higher. But one gift about geothermal is that it's not affected by weather vagaries. So it gives us that good platform to build our industries there. But we'll talk more about that as we go down the road with you.
All right. Now, about the misconceptions, specifically on green energy. Talk about the discussion about the North and South debate. Where does this fall? The Western countries and the African countries.
I will give you my opinion regarding that, is that most renewable energy resources are found in Africa. Okay? And when the world shifts to relying on renewable energy resources, it means the world is shifting to Africa.
Yes.
Okay? Now, for a long time, Africa was known as a source of raw materials that are affordable. It was known for a source of labor. But now what you're bringing is that actually they have energy, and when you put your industry there, you'll have affordable material, affordable labor, and the market. So sooner or later, we see Africa becoming the leader of this new world order. So of course, those leaders who are currently the Western countries and the developed countries are jittery about this, because we are no longer relying on their resources. We are now saying we have our own resources and we are becoming self-sufficient, which is of course a big threat to them.
Yeah.
But they shouldn't really see it that way. The world has become a global village, and we should just work towards building a better planet for all of us. And if the power comes from Africa, we can wheel it all over the world. Yeah. If the industry is here in Africa, we can send our products all over the world.
Yes.
So it's just about accepting Africa, and especially Kenya, as the frontier of this new technology and the technological run.
Thank you. So Kenya is often cited as a leader in renewable energy. So basically, you can just explain how does this energy mix look like and how green is it really?
Okay, thank you, Judy. I'll start with this. On a good day, a good weekend, we could hit 97% green generation in our grid. Okay, very few countries can hit that. But one thing about Kenya's position is that it lies in the Great Rift Valley. And that's where something called the Ring of Fire exists. These are the only countries that have geothermal potential at a shallow level. Technology has proved today that the deeper you go, you could find geothermal. But for Kenya, we are lucky that it's on our shallow depths. And so what does that mean for Kenya? It means that unlike using fossil fuel, polluting our ozone layer, we're able to rely heavily on the blessing that God has given us of abundant renewable power. We have good wind. Marsabit has one of the fastest winds in the world. We have one of the biggest wind farms in Africa. Okay, we've proven that actually the reliability of that wind, we call it near base load because it is constantly blowing. When you look at our hydrology, our Tana cascade, you can see KenGen alone has about 824 megawatts there, churning it. If we bring in the high Grand Falls, we're looking at another 700 megawatts plus. So that again is abundant. When you look at solar, we are in the equator. So all these things, imagine just Kenya's position. We are blessed with all these things. Being in the equator means that you have sun throughout the year. That means that you're able to price solar generation effectively across the year. Other countries actually have to price them only during summer, or slightly during. So we are fortunate that all seasons we're able. When you look at geothermal, very few countries have it at that shallow depth. And Kenya, again, is blessed with it. So for me, it is exciting because we have all these modes to explore. And it's an exciting time to see Kenya unfold to become the giant in renewable energy.
Let's talk more about geothermal. And you've touched about it, and I know from your experience, you spend quite a lot of time in Olkaria. So you understand our geothermal journey as a country. How has it been for Kenya in terms of exploring geothermal?
Kenya stumbled on geothermal development as a result of a crisis. From 1933, we developed a lot of our hydros. But when we suffered the severe drought sometime, we realized that we needed backup power, which we did not have. And so we got engaged in thermal power. Our forefathers then realized that while this is a temporary solution, we need a permanent one. And there was a decision, a major paradigm shift towards what can we do to invest in geothermal. Geothermal has 5 key advantages. The first thing about geothermal is it meets the energy trilemma issue. It's green, clean, and renewable. So that wipes out all issues of depleting our planet or polluting our planet. We are here to preserve it. The second thing about geothermal is it's the only renewable source of power that is not affected by weather vagaries. Okay? So what that means is that you don't need a backup. You don't need a battery. You don't need any other thing to be on standby. You can be able to utilize this resource reliably. The other thing about geothermal is longevity. Olkaria 1 was commissioned, one of the units was commissioned in 1981. Yes, very true. Possibly older than most of us. But today, we are rehabilitating that plant to possibly go for another 30, 40 years. The same well, so you can see the stretch of longevity.
Building up to about 63 megawatts?
Yes, because of efficiency in the game. And look, if you're able to price your power production over 25, 30 years, and it's reliably so, then it means that the unit cost of power goes down. So the advantage of longevity and the advantage of reliability. Okay? So those are 3 key advantages. The fourth one is space. Imagine a solar plant doing 236 megawatts like what we have in Olkaria. Olkaria 1, unit 4, 5, and 6. It would be major acres and acres and acres of panels. But with just that small space, we're able to churn out that. So there's a land use efficiency that geothermal power gives us. Lastly, when you see geothermal power, when you see the automation, the technology that has been invested into geothermal, most geothermal plants actually run alone, remotely. So your O&M costs significantly go lower. So all this combined enable us have a sweet tariff that enables industrialization.
All right, let's step back a bit and we speak to Kenyans who may not know what geothermal is. And there's this common confusion between geothermal and thermal. So speak to my daughters back at home and tell them what geothermal is. How do we tap power from geothermal?
There's been quite some confusion around thermal power and geothermal power. So let me address by defining what thermal power is. Okay, you take heavy fuel oil, you burn it, and it turns some pistons which are coupled to a generator, and you're able to get electricity. Okay, what you release to the earth are carbon emissions. These carbon emissions destroy our atmosphere, and they cause something called global warming because they now trap in the heat of that. Geothermal power, on the other hand, is energy from the earth. And so what happens is scientists come and study the earth, and they direct engineers to drill to a specific location. In Olkaria, we go as deep as 3,500 meters.
Whoa.
To cleverly tap into
That's
a
like
structure.
3 kilometers.
3.5 kilometers. With accuracy, drilling blind, going all the way. And they tap into pockets of steam. These pockets of steam are as a result of water going into the earth crusts, getting trapped, and because of the heat and the mantle around the core of the earth, the water gets so hot that it's looking for anywhere to escape. So see it like a big kettle or a pressure pot, and it's looking to escape. So once you drill a straw there, then that steam tries to escape, and it will follow the pipe. When it comes to the surface, this steam is directed to a turbine. Our turbines turn at 3000 RPM. These turbines are coupled to a generator. You have mechanical witchcraft, you have electricity. But what happens to the water that has turned that turbine? Because of passing on that energy, it condenses, it loses energy, and it becomes water. That water, we take it right back where it came from.
So that is why I say it is renewable.
Renewable. Green, clean, and renewable, because it's not emitting any carbon emissions to the planet. So in a way, all the way preserving the planet.
So beyond power generation, I believe KenGen has a responsibility towards this transition. So maybe you tell us more about that in terms of environmentally, socially, and even economically.
Allow me to reference a company by the name Safaricom. When Safaricom came out of being, they were selling airtime. Okay? It reached a point they realized we can sell internet through the phone. And you remember we had 2G and you could download an MMS, a message at that point, you show an image and everybody's excited. And then they realized, hey, we can even get faster internet speeds. And while they were doing this, someone came with an idea that, hey, we can send money through these phones. Then suddenly, Safaricom stopped focusing on airtime to how can we be part of the livelihoods of Kenyans. So doing all manner of things that affect our livelihoods. The same thing as KenGen. Initially, our work was simply as an engineer, turn on the turbine, let it rotate, that is it. But were we solving the problem? Were we making our country a better place? Industries are looking for competitively priced electricity. If you're to move electrons from Olkaria to industrial area, there is the investment of transmission. Okay? That has to be paid for. But that industry will ask you, does it make sense for me then to do my business in Kenya? See? So as energy experts, and this being an electricity generating company, we transitioned and metamorphed to renewable energy solutions can provide. And now what we are doing is providing solutions. And we're telling these people, look, we found a way, a logical way to reduce the tariff, make it the most competitive tariff, arguably in Africa. Okay? Bring your industry here, benefit from 100% green power, tap into green financing, carbon credits, have your product marked as 100% green product, fetch a premium market that appreciate this product. For those who take Uji, when you look at the Budweiser can, you'll see that this beer is manufactured by 100% renewable energy. You see, so the world is shifting there, and people are willing to pay slightly more for something that did not harm our planet. Okay, so as KenGen, we've come up with a green energy park, and we've set it up right at the source of power in Olkaria, so that industries are able to come and plug in and do it. But we didn't just stop there. We looked at what more could we do to our country to ensure that we build wealth. How do we build wealth? We build wealth by ensuring that we have more inflows than outflows. Bringing industries here means we're able to export more. And now that Kenya is blessed, and I would say this, Kenya is blessed because of the position. And I've explained to you how all modes of generation happen. And not to mention that it's a hub and the entry of East Africa. It connects into Comesa, it connects to the southern market, it's East Africa market, all these markets. You have an SGR, you have a good port, 2 good ports, Lamu and Mombasa. So the one thing that was missing was how can we create jobs and industrialization? Okay, and that's why coming up with this idea was basically to do so. But we looked again at what 2 things affects our government. We import close to 80 billion worth of fertilizer annually. That means money is going out. What if we made it? Yes, we'd be saving the economy 80 billion worth of outflows, and it's in dollar terms. So we're able now to say, okay, let's crystallize this idea. I'm happy to report that sometime next year, we'll be able to have our own plant doing We'll have a plant doing green fertilizer. The other thing was data centers. Data centers are so small, but they consume quite a lot of power. They just occupy such a small footprint that there's so much concern that if these data centers are being powered by coal, by HFO, what are they doing to the planet? And so the environment enthusiasts are constantly bashing owners of data center. But in today's world, we need those data centers. AI is now a reality. So how do we provide an energy solution? Again, we come in. And that's why we're hosting the world's first 100% green data center in Naivasha, powered by geothermal.
All right. Now, when you talk about the green energy park, talk to me as an investor out there, probably Kenya or out there somewhere in the world, and I want to come and set up in the KenGen Green Energy Park. What do I need to do? And what companies are you looking for?
Good question, Frank. So you're the investor. I'd ask you, what do you want to make your product affordable and fetch a premium market? What would you want?
Let's think of maybe a textile manufacturing company.
Yes. So to make that pair of jeans and sell it and make a good profit, what do you need from me to enable you make that thing at an affordable cost?
Of course, they'll ask for cheap power. Yes. They will ask for affordable manpower also.
Yes.
Networks of the roads.
So we'll start with the first one, affordable power. Our power in Okaria is 7 US cents. When you translate it, it comes to about 9 Kenya shillings. There's nowhere you'll find power more affordable than that. That is reliable for a period of 25 years. Being supplied by top experts who have been in this business from 1950. It's only in Okaria. So we are guaranteeing you all your power problems, we are solving them at the most affordable rate. Number two is you're looking for labor. Kenyan market, the Kenyan labor market is one of the best in the world. We are known for hard work, innovation. Specifically in Naivasha, when you look at all the flower farms and all the people there, you have quite some skill set that you can tap into. Any manufacturer, producer requires connectivity. And Naivasha's strategic location provides access to an SGR port, access to a line railway, access to 2 roads, access to airstrips, and access to any chopper that would need to land there. So in terms of connectivity, it is fully covered. The other interesting thing about the location is the altitude. Naivasha is on a high altitude. Most industries spend quite a lot on cooling. But the higher you go, the cooler it gets. Yeah. So with that advantage, then you spend less on cooling. So again, we are working on the efficiency of your power. We also have the advantage of land. We've put out 4,500 acres of pristine land that enables investors to come and choose a strategic location and establish themselves there. We charge 50,000 shillings per acre per year. One of the most affordable pieces of land that you could have. So this is arm of the inputs that result to your product. But when you look at it critically, when you have a product that is marked 100% green, it appeals to something called the Renewable Energy Club 100. These are people who are determined to turn over 500 terawatt hours annually from 100% green power. It includes the Apples, the Googles of these people. So for you to be compliant in terms of supplying them or by 2028, you need to comply. Additionally, anyone working with KenGen on the Green Energy Park has unfettered access to carbon financing, carbon credits, climate financing, green bonds, and all these are instruments that heavily reduce your cost of capital. Who wouldn't like that?
But let's look at that investor from out there who is almost clicking the link to start applying to be an investor in your energy park. When they come, one of the main issues usually is ease of doing business, entry into the market, knowing where to go, which person to contact. How do you make this easy for the investors?
Frank, that's a really valid question. There are certain unknown barriers that just trade barriers that hinder people from coming on board. Government of Kenya has facilitated us in 2 ways. We have a way of procuring partners, okay, through a dedicated link. So all you need to do is click and apply, and you'll get an invitation to come, select your site, and move on. But most importantly is, where do you get the other approvals? And because we established ourselves as a green energy park, we went further and established it as a special economic zone. One of the legal requirements is you need to establish a one-stop shop. Interestingly, because of our efficiencies, we were opposed to calling it one stop because we think people will stop. So we call ourselves a one-go shop.
One go shop.
Here is where you will find all the principals who are supposed to approve your documents, be it from the county government, be it from the tax regime, be it from the banking industries, from the water industry. Everyone will be accommodated there, so that when this investor comes, he's applied, he's selected this site, he just walks in there and walks out with all the approvals. Okay, we've also dedicated KenGen offices there to support these people. Okaria again has been gazetted as a critical infrastructure place. It has a security post that exists right within. So we are guaranteeing security, we're guaranteeing power solutions.
All right.
I love this conversation. KenGen indeed is a trendsetter, and I believe this transition sounds very positive. However, it comes without challenges. There has to be challenges. So what are some of the hard trade-offs that KenGen and Kenya has had to navigate throughout this transition?
I don't know whether we call them achievements or challenges, but our biggest challenge was a compliant model that could enable us onboard investors until the tenancy was full. Okay, so navigating around that, because there was no procurement law that could really guide us effectively on that. And so we had to work closely with the government to come up with a special permit to be able to undertake that. That was one of our biggest challenges. And it took a lot of time before people understood, what is this green energy park? The second thing that I would call it was quite of a hectic challenge was, for you to operate within the special economic zone, you need an outfit to run it. So establishing that outfit, which we call KenGen Energy Services Limited, has not been easy. Okay, but I'm happy to report that it's now up on its feet. The place is fully gazetted. We've been granted a developer license and operator license, and we are possibly the leading, the most preferred special economic zone. There's something interesting about land. Initially, when we started off, because of our mentality that we were going to have big manufacturing industries coming on board, and you spoke to it earlier about what kind of clients are coming on board, we realized that, so we thought land would be our biggest limitation. So we were saying, guys, come take 100 acres, 200 acres, what will we be left with? The industries that are keen are data centers mostly. And they're telling me all they need is half an acre, but they are going to push out about 100 megawatts of power. So it's interesting times. So we are seeing that what we thought was our biggest limitation is now what is most abundant. But what we thought we had most abundantly, which was power, is now our biggest limitation, because the queue for the Green Energy Park onboarding is now spanning to over 40 clients. But we're just loading them systematically and giving preference to the first come.
Which means you have to adjust as you go along.
Yes.
Now, when you talk about the overall green energy transition, for a normal mwananchi Wanjiku down there, they're asking, what is this green energy transition?
When an industry relocates from country X and comes to Kenya and says, we need 5,000 people, what does it mean for mwananchi?
On the job.
On the job. It means that suddenly there's an opportunity of 5,000. But what happens when these industries move from one relocating to 100? It will be 50,000 jobs. Then those 50,000 people suddenly living here need houses, they need hospitals, they need schools. So any other investor will come around and make these investments. What do we end up with? We end up with an ecosystem that will directly employ people and indirectly employ people. Now that common mwananchi is likely. The probability of getting a job every time an investor comes increases. So he's likely to get a job, and he's likely to change jobs, and he's likely to now educate his children, who will be able to grow up, get a good education, and land these great jobs. So This is the beginning of our prosperity. The more people invest here in industries and the more we export, the richer and the wealthier we become as a country.
All right.
Now, looking forward, what should Kenyans expect of KenGen into the next phase of the transition?
We are looking at building in the next till 2035 a portfolio of 100% green projects. Okay, and this number keeps growing by the day. KenGen has been appointed as the first nuclear operator owner, and interesting times, that is 2,000 megawatts. So the only company I know that can deliver these mega projects is KenGen in terms of energy development. And so it's exciting for the investors, our shareholders. It's also exciting for our nation, because when we build these projects, we need to hire people. When we build this project, we need experts who need to provide consultancy services for us, who need to provide civil work services. So it's going to be a stream that will support millions and millions of livelihoods. So for as long as KenGen continues to grow, then I can tell you the common mwananchi and their livelihoods continue to improve.
I'm sure from where you come from. Where's home, by the way?
Kericho. The land of tea. The county. But let me also shock you on that. There's more tea grown in Bomet than in Kericho. We just have a bit of the factories. And there's more coffee than tea in Kericho.
Oh, than in the central sides of Kenya?
No, okay, when you look at Kericho County and you compare the acres under tea and the acres under coffee.
Yeah. Interesting. So when you're at home, let's say for Christmas, do people ask you about their power problems, connecting here and there?
Yeah, we keep it simple. Anyone who doesn't have power, it's my problem. So, but the grid has been really reliable. There's not a lot of push towards, hey, we've seen a good river here, can we do a good hydro plant, So people are becoming knowledgeable about the benefits of renewable power. And the communities as well are accepting that. Most of them are now getting opportunities to be employed. And when you go back home, it's more of positive feedback and the new ideas coming up. So even a stream, you want to find people pushing that, can we do a small hydro here, Energy efficiency is also something that has caught up in my village. When you tour the homes, you actually appreciate that people are on the white light. People are not using the bulbs that consume more. People are very conscious about how they're using the power and the tokens. So it's a culture that has really come up and it's exciting. And even more so, there are a lot of solar projects going on at home. So most of the homes are fitted with solar, the security lights are fitted with solar. So it's always exciting to see that the renewable energy story has impacted up to our village. Yeah.
So as we come to a close of this show today of the Energy Post podcast, Kibet, if there's one thing you want Kenyans to know about KenGen's role in this green energy transition, what would it be?
KenGen is no longer just a power developer and an operator. KenGen is now touching the livelihoods of every Kenyan, and we are providing solutions that will be able to see us to the next generation. Solutions that are reliable, founded on sound principles, that will see us grow our economy, grow our livelihoods, and harness our position in terms of wealth as a nation. It will be my greatest joy to see our GDP improve. It will be my greatest joy to see the generations behind us grow and become better people than us to take it forward from where we are.
All right. JB, any parting shots? I think you've enjoyed the discussion so far.
We have, absolutely.
All right, that has been our first edition of the Energy Post, and we're really excited to have a very interesting guest here with us today, Kibet Ronoh. We'll be bringing you many of such guests to discuss nothing but the energy story, because here is where all the big stories on energy will be discussed. Keep it here, listen to this, share it with your friends, subscribe, and be part of the energy story. Thank you.
Kibet, welcome to the Energy Post podcast Power Shots. Question 1, what's one question people always ask when they found out you work in energy?
They ask whether I pay power, electricity bills.
Do you?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
We all do.
What's one energy myth you hear so often it makes you laugh?
We are likely to cause earthquakes, so there is a fear that we are collapsing the earth.
Are you?
No.
Okay. Early mornings or late nights?
I'm a late night. I'm an O.
So when do you get your best ideas?
At night.
At night.
And in the shower.
Okay. If you aren't working in energy, which career would you be in?
I'd be a Formula One driver.
Favorite driver?
Lewis Hamilton.
Everyone's
Has to
favorite. One word Kenyans should associate with KenGen 5 years from now.
The color green.
Green.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.